Well, Representative Johnson, welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you. Chair Huntsman, if it's okay with you, I want to just spend 1 minute. I know that the State Board of Education has been under a lot of pressure and a lot of duress to try to figure out how to move forward and to navigate for all these different LEAs, different sorts of problems, issues, and so forth that arise through this period. But I think it's remarkable the steady hand that you and the board has shown, and also the state superintendent and her team. I've worked in education for 50 years. Then I retired, and then was honored to be elected to the House of Representatives. And it's just amazing when I sit on the Education Appropriation Committee and I sit on the Education Standing Committee to hear presentations from the State Board office and all the team members that come there. It's something to be really proud of. And it's stunning, actually, sometimes when I take a look at the plan that you've laid out, the different elements of the plan, and then the feedback that we get on each part of that plan as it's put in place and moving forward. And I just want to thank you, and I want to thank Superintendent Dixon for that and everybody that's associated with this, because I know it's a team effort, but it is really making a big difference, and it keeps Utah in a great, great place as far as really educating our students and through that process, helping families. And that's a big deal.
Welcome.
Thank you. I also wanted to just have this opportunity today just to take a few minutes to speak with you about what's kind of become a national issue. It's a state issue. It's one that gets reported to me frequently in my district, and that's just, does anybody know anything about the Constitution anymore? People understand our government, how it runs, and so on. And there's a lot of questions about that. And of course, we always look at, it seems to me like we look at education as the place where a lot of that's going to get solved. And I think it's really important. So I've had this opportunity to work with some agencies across our state, and also specifically with Robert Austin, the social studies specialist there at USBE, and we put together this idea about civics education. So there's a couple of parts to this bill that was actually passed. That because of COVID, all of that new money that was appropriated was taken back. So this year, we'll have to go back and re-ask for that money and get the bill going again. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But anyway, this really deals with civics education. One of the things that it does is it leaves the current test that graduating seniors have to take for civics. And I think Robert Austin and his team have worked on some things around that test. But this piece is really about participatory engagement. And it's about taking a look at what sort of experiences could students have? And what are their feelings, and how would we gather that input from them? And then also the teacher side of it. What do they need to know in order to teach a good civics engagement course, and what feedback can we get from them as we move forward? So what this bill does is called Civics Education Amendments. And it basically puts in place the opportunity for pilot study to be conducted over a 3-year period across multiple sizes and demographics of school districts to gather information and to see what the impact is on civics engagement, and how that might help a graduating senior be more ready for, their right to vote and to be engaged civically and to be interested in that for the rest of their life. I think it's one of the things that, can really protect us as a society and as a democracy. The better and more deeply that students understand something and then have the capacity to act upon that understanding. I think that's where we will get better students. So, or students who are better prepared for our society. So, Robert, maybe I could just turn a moment to you and talk a little bit about what's required on the USBE side of it in terms of some of the preparation of, assessments and feedback systems and staff development.
And great, thank you so much, Representative Johnson. The concept behind House Bill 334, which was passed last year, is to really encourage the development of innovative civic engagement projects with really the focus on engagement. How do we engage young people in issues they care about, but also understand the systems and understand levers of power and understand where they fit in that process? We have significant themes of systems of power, authority, and governance, and we want students to be able to understand that there are certainly rights they have as a part of this amazing republic, but there are also responsibilities they have. And how do they wield that great civic responsibility in really productive ways? This day is a very striking day for me in terms of seeing what and how some people are responding to the challenges of democracy. And so we are hoping that we will engage students in very innovative and interesting pilot ways that could be replicated across the state.
Chair Huntsman, I think that's basically the content of the bill. It's not a real complicated thing. It doesn't change a lot of state law, but I wanted to have this opportunity to inform the board about what is going on here with this particular application.
And it isn't really all that new because it was introduced last year, but a lot has changed from last year to now. We do have a hand raised from Board Member Earl. Do you have a question or comment?
I do. Thank you. It's good to see you, Representative Johnson. So this question, because there is some research currently out over the last year or so about some of the civics or action programs that are not doing what we hoped that they would do. And I'm just wondering, have you guys been able to kind of vet that so that we don't fall into the category of, I know this is a pilot program, so just getting to the root of what makes a successful action program versus what makes just action, right? If it's a civic action program of some kind, then certainly it should do the very things that we have, we're looking for, that understanding the Constitution and that kind of thing. So I'm just wondering if you've been able to kind of look at some of that research that's recently come out, or if, I guess I could send it on to you if you're not familiar with it, just to make sure we're headed in the right direction. So,
yeah. I personally think you hit the nail right on the head when you said the pilot, and I think we have to be really, really careful as we do these kinds of things. What are we doing with curriculum, and what is it that we want taught, and how do we assess that? And we have to be really, really careful about that. I actually have read some of those reports, and there are pitfalls, I think, that from reading those reports that we can avoid from the get-go. So I'm glad that you brought that up. It is something we have to pay attention to, and certainly I think the social studies specialist, Robert Austin, would be aware of that as he works with folks there at the State Department.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. We always look forward to seeing what's going to happen with the legislature and where their priorities are, and as these bills move forward and that we take a position, and we have our process too, Representative Johnson, and you've seen it work in the past. But we appreciate working with you and being called to the table and being accountable and making our case before you, and we appreciate your support. So we appreciate you coming today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm thankful and thankful for the board once again for all your work and all the specialist departments there at the state office. It is remarkable, and everybody knows on the education side. So thank you.
I see another hand raised from one of our board members, Board Member Straight.
Yes, Representative Johnson, thanks for being with us today. Just maybe a thought. You may or may not be familiar with what we call Portrait of a Graduate.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear okay, Representative Johnson?
I can.
Okay, please continue, Board Member.
Portrait of a Graduate has been developed by the State Board in conjunction with their strategic plan. And I think that that report could be very useful in regards to building or looking at what you mean by engagement as a template to help guide that. So that would be my encouragement, and I'd be glad to visit with you more about that, but I know now's not the time to go into great detail.
That's great. We'll sure use that. It's a wonderful document.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any other hands raised, Representative, and we appreciate you coming, and we're looking forward to seeing you often here over the next few weeks.
You bet. Thanks again.
Hey, thank you. Take care. Be safe.
Bye. Bye, everyone.